Apply. Close your eyes for a moment and imagine a world thousands of years ago, a world without smartphones, airplanes, or electricity, yet filled with minds so brilliant. Apply. They dared to create inventions that even today seem impossible. From machines that could lift massive stones with ease, apply to surgical tools so advanced they rival our modern technology. These weren't just simple creations, these were marvels hidden behind the walls of time. Apply. How did civilizations long before us achieve such mastery? How did they know secrets of science, architecture, and medicine we are only rediscovering today? Tonight, apply. We unlock the mysteries of forgotten inventions, lost in the sands of history, yet far ahead of their time. Prepare to be amazed, thrilled, apply, and utterly mind blown, because what you're about to discover will change the way you see the ancient world forever. Close your eyes and travel back more than 2,000 years. Apply to a time when the world was lit not by electricity, but by the glow of oil lamps. Great empires rose and fell. Sailors braved seas with only the stars above as their guide. And yet, apply. Hidden away beneath the waves near a small Greek island lay a device so advanced it would puzzle scientists for generations. It is called the Antikythera mechanism. Apply, and many believe it is the world's very first computer. Not a computer made of wires and screens, but of bronze gears, tiny teeth carved with unbelievable precision. Apply, and a mind-bending purpose to predict the movements of the heavens themselves. Discovered in 1901 by sponge divers exploring a shipwreck off the coast of Antikythera. Apply. This mysterious object first appeared to be nothing more than a lump of corroded metal. Covered in barnacles, eaten away by centuries underwater, it didn't look like much at all. Apply. But as researchers began to study it, what emerged shocked the modern world. Beneath its rough surface were dozens of interlocking gears. Apply, meticulously arranged in a way no one had ever imagined the ancient Greeks capable of creating. It wasn't a simple clock. It wasn't a toy. Apply. This was a machine designed with such sophistication that even today, building one with ancient tools would be a nearly impossible feat. Imagine holding it in your hands. Apply. A box no larger than a modern shoebox filled with wheels and gears so perfectly aligned that, when turned, they could predict eclipses, chart the cycles of the moon, apply, and even track the positions of planets in the night sky. Centuries before telescopes, centuries before Galileo, centuries before humanity thought itself capable of such calculations, apply. The Antikythera mechanism was doing the work of an astronomical observatory in the palm of one's hand. Think about the implications. Apply. If ancient Greek craftsmen could construct such a device, how much knowledge did they really possess about mathematics, astronomy, and engineering that has since been lost to time? Apply. Who were the brilliant minds behind it? Was it the work of a lone genius inspired by the stars? Apply. Or perhaps a secretive guild of scientists and philosophers passing down knowledge from even older civilizations? Apply. Some even wonder if the Greeks inherited the wisdom from places we barely understand today, Egypt, Mesopotamia, or civilizations long vanished beneath the sands and seas. Apply. The mystery only deepens when we realize just how precise the mechanism truly was. The teeth of its gears weren't random. Apply. They were cut with accuracy so fine that each rotation could calculate lunar cycles to within a single day, spanning decades into the future. Apply. Modern X-ray scans have revealed instructions carved into the device, suggesting it was not only a tool of science but also of teaching. Apply. Perhaps it was used in schools of philosophy, a way to demonstrate the harmony of the cosmos to curious students. Perhaps it was used in temples. Apply. A sacred machine to forecast celestial events and align rituals with the heavens. Or perhaps it was the prized possession of a wealthy patron. Apply. Proof of his dominion not only on earth, but over the knowledge of the skies. Yet the most haunting question remains, how many of these devices once existed? Apply. Was the Antikythera mechanism a unique creation, a one-of-a-kind marvel that sank with its ship and slipped into obscurity? Apply. Or was it just one example of a technology that may have been more widespread than we dare imagine, lost to fire, conquest, and the fragile memory of history? Apply. If this is what has survived, corroded in half, destroyed, what else might still lie hidden, buried beneath oceans, or sealed inside forgotten tombs, waiting to be rediscovered? Apply. The Antikythera mechanism is more than a relic. It is a whisper from the past, a reminder that human genius has always reached beyond its time, daring to touch the stars. Apply. It forces us to reconsider everything we thought we knew about ancient civilizations. They were not primitive. They were not simple. They were visionaries. Apply. Building machines that could outpace imagination. And if this one device survived long enough to reach us, then somewhere beyond the veil of history, apply. There may be countless other inventions still waiting, locked behind the great wall of time, daring us to uncover them. Picture the towering structures of Rome. Apply. Their arches stretching high above the bustling streets, their columns gleaming under the Mediterranean sun, the Colosseum, the aqueducts. Apply. The sprawling baths that could host thousands, These monuments were not meant to stand for a few decades or even a few centuries. They were designed to defy time itself. Apply. And the secret behind their incredible endurance is not just the skill of Roman engineers, but the very material that bound their empires together, Roman concrete. Apply, a substance so mysterious, so ahead of its age, that modern scientists still study its secrets to this day. When most of us think of concrete, apply, we picture the gray sidewalks and bridges of today. Strong, yes, but vulnerable. Over time, modern concrete cracks, crumbles, and demands repair. Apply, entire skyscrapers must be reinforced every few decades. Highways must be rebuilt and bridges collapse if left untended. But Roman concrete is different. Apply, structures built more than 2,000 years ago still stand proudly, their foundations refusing to give in to weather earthquakes or the crushing weight of history itself. The Roman harbors, apply, exposed endlessly to salt water and waves, should have dissolved centuries ago, and yet many of them remain stronger now than when they were first built. How is that possible? Apply. The answer lies in a recipe that was as much art as it was science. Unlike modern cement, the Romans mixed volcanic ash with lime and seawater. Apply, creating a chemical reaction that birthed a material of extraordinary resilience. And here is the astonishing part. When cracks formed, the Roman concrete did not weaken. Apply, it healed itself. Minerals from the volcanic ash would seep into the fissures, crystallizing and restoring strength, turning potential flaws into renewed fortifications. Imagine that. Apply, a material that grows stronger with age, unlike anything widely used today. This discovery forces us to rethink our assumptions about ancient technology. Apply. We often see the Romans as brilliant builders, yes, but we rarely imagine their mastery over materials rivaling ours. Yet here they were. Apply, crafting a formula so ingenious that even with modern laboratories, recreating it perfectly has proven difficult. Were they merely experimenting, guided by luck and long trial? Apply, or did they inherit this knowledge from older traditions passed down from civilizations whose brilliance has been erased by time? Apply. Every crumbling wall we rebuild today makes their endurance all the more extraordinary. Walk through the ruins of Rome and feel the weight of this mystery. The Pantheon, Apply, with its massive dome, still the largest unreinforced concrete dome in the world, stands as a silent testament to their genius. Its oculus opens to the heavens, Apply, a design that architects still marvel at, and its concrete shell holds firm, defying the centuries. The aqueducts, carrying life, giving water across miles, Apply, stretch like stone veins across the land, many of them still standing after empires have come and gone. The amphitheaters, arenas of glory and blood, Apply, endure not only as relics, but as lessons that strength is not measured by size alone, but by the secrets hidden within the walls. And yet for all the might of Rome, Apply, the recipe itself was eventually lost. As the empire crumbled, so too did the knowledge of its builders. For centuries, humanity forgot the formula that made eternal stone. Apply, imagine the cost of this loss. Cities, bridges, and monuments that might have lasted millennia, all built instead with weaker imitations. What else might we have built? Apply, what wonders might we have sustained if the secret had not slipped through the cracks of history? Today, scientists scrape fragments from Roman walls, grind them under microscopes, Apply, and stare in awe at the crystalline patterns within. They have confirmed what the ancients seemed to know instinctively, that nature, when guided with precision, Apply, can create structures that heal and endure. And now, slowly, the world is rediscovering what the Romans once commanded, Apply. Some modern engineers are even experimenting with this ancient formula, again, dreaming of a future where our buildings do not decay but strengthen with each passing year. Apply. Roman concrete is not just a material, it is a message from the past, a whisper that echoes through time. It tells us that progress is not always a straight line. Sometimes, Apply, the greatest achievements lie not ahead of us, but behind forgotten walls, waiting to be remembered. And when we finally unlock those secrets, Apply, we are reminded that the ancients were not only builders of empires, but masters of eternity itself. Deep in the heart of Mesopotamia, Apply, where the Tigris and Euphrates once cradled the cradle of civilization, archaeologists unearthed something that seemed utterly impossible. It was not a golden treasure, Apply, not a weapon of war, not even a carved idol of worship, but a clay jar no taller than a hand, sealed with asphalt, a copper cylinder within, and an iron rod at its core. Apply, at first glance, it seemed ordinary, almost forgettable, yet hidden within this humble vessel may lie one of the most extraordinary mysteries of the ancient world. Apply, known today as the Baghdad battery, this strange object challenges our understanding of history and raises a startling question. Apply, did ancient people unlock the power of electricity long before we imagined? The jar itself dates back more than 2,000 years to the Parthian or Sassanid periods. Apply, nothing about its simple design screams advanced technology, but when German archaeologist Wilhelm Kaunig examined it in the 1930s, he made a bold claim this was not just a jar. Apply. It was a device capable of generating electric current. By filling the vessel with an acidic liquid, like vinegar, lemon juice, or wine, the metals inside could produce a voltage. Apply. In other words, this clay pot could function as a battery. If this theory is true, it changes everything. Electricity is often seen as a hallmark of modern innovation. Apply, an achievement of the Enlightenment and Industrial Age. But here, hidden in the sands of Mesopotamia, apply was evidence suggesting the ancients may have toyed with this invisible force long before Benjamin Franklin flew his kite or Edison lit his bulb. Imagine for a moment apply sparks glowing in temples, artisans using electric current to plate gold on jewelry, priests harnessing lightning in a clay vessel to all worshippers. Apply. Such ideas push against the walls of what we think possible. Skeptics, of course, argue otherwise. Some say the Baghdad battery may have been nothing more than a storage container. Apply, a mundane vessel misinterpreted by eager minds. Others suggest it was used to store scrolls or sacred texts, and yet, when replicas of the battery are built and tested, they work. Apply. They produce electricity, small yes, but undeniably real, enough to electroplate metal, enough to shock a curious finger, enough to raise questions too heavy to dismiss. Apply. The mystery deepens when we ask why. If the ancients truly knew how to create electricity, what was their purpose? Was it science, experiment, or ritual? Apply. Some theories imagine workshops where artisans dipped objects into jars powered by these simple cells, coating them with thin layers of precious metals. Apply. Others envision priests using the jars as tools of wonder, creating divine sparks during sacred ceremonies, reinforcing their power in the eyes of the people. Perhaps apply. In dimly lit chambers, the glow of electricity was a secret known only to a chosen few. The silence of history does not answer us. No texts describe their use. Apply. No manuals explain their construction. All we have are the artifacts, enigmatic jars buried for centuries, whispering hints of forgotten knowledge. Were they isolated curiosities? Apply. Accidental inventions with no greater purpose? Or were they remnants of a technology passed down, hidden and eventually lost as empires rose and fell? Apply. Modern researchers continue to debate, but the allure of the Baghdad battery is not just in whether it worked, it is in what it represents. Apply. The possibility that human curiosity has always reached further than we give it credit for. Apply. That civilizations long before us may have experimented with forces we claim as our own discoveries, that the line between ancient and modern may not be a clean break. Apply. But a circle, knowledge gained, lost, and rediscovered across time. So the jar, small and unassuming, becomes something far greater than clay and copper. Apply. It becomes a symbol of the unknown, a reminder that history holds secrets we may never fully unlock. Behind the great walls of time, hidden in ruins and shipwrecks, apply. In dusty jars and corroded gears lies a truth that whispers to us even now the ancients were not just dreamers of myths and builders of monuments. They were experimenters, innovators. Apply, and perhaps the first to touch the sparks of lightning long before the modern world even dared to imagine it. In the heart of ancient India, apply. Thousands of years before modern hospitals and sterile operating rooms, there existed physicians whose skills were so advanced, their knowledge continues to astonish us even today. Apply. Among them was Sushruta, often called the father of surgery, whose name echoes through history not as a myth, but as a master of medicine. In his legendary text, Apply, the Sushruta Samhita, he described techniques and instruments that seemed far too sophisticated for their time. Apply. What he recorded was not mere theory, it was the practice of surgery at a level that would not be seen again in much of the world for centuries. And it leaves us wondering, Apply, how did ancient India know so much so early about the art of healing? The Sushruta Samhita, written around the 6th century BCE, Apply, contains meticulous instructions for performing complex procedures. This was not a simple collection of herbal remedies or chants, as some might expect from the ancient world. Apply. It was a manual of surgery describing everything from cesarean sections to cataract removal, from treating fractures to performing skin grafts. Even more astonishing, Apply, it included the first recorded description of rhinoplasty, the surgical reconstruction of the human nose. Imagine in an era when iron was still being hammered by hand. Apply, when most civilizations treated illness as a curse or omen, there were surgeons in India repairing noses, stitching wounds. Apply, and restoring lives with techniques that sound strikingly modern. But the brilliance did not end with the procedures. The tools they used were equally impressive. Apply. Sushruta listed over 120 surgical instruments, scalpels, forceps, needles, scissors, probes, all crafted from stone, wood, and metal. Apply. Designed with such precision that many resemble the instruments you would find in today's operating theaters. These were not crude inventions, but carefully engineered tools. Apply. Shaped by observation and honed by practice. Each had a specific purpose, each crafted to handle delicate tasks on the human body with astonishing accuracy, and yet Apply, there is something even more remarkable. Sushruta emphasized not only skill with the blade, but also deep knowledge of anatomy. Apply, he instructed his students to study the human body by dissecting cadavers, an idea so radical that in many other cultures it would have been forbidden. Apply, he believed that a surgeon who did not understand the body in detail was like a blind man holding a weapon. He taught ethics, discipline, and compassion. Apply, insisting that medicine was not merely about science, but about service to humanity. Apply, how did such advanced knowledge flourish at a time when much of the world was still guided by superstition? Some suggest that India's long tradition of inquiry, apply, its fusion of philosophy and science, created the conditions for such breakthroughs. Others wonder if this knowledge was inherited from an even older, apply, forgotten source, echoes of civilizations that rose and fell before their time. Whatever the truth, the surgical brilliance of ancient India was centuries ahead of its peers. Apply. Consider this rhinoplasty, the reconstruction of a nose, was described in India more than 500 years ago. In Europe, this procedure would not appear until the 15th century. Apply. Cataract surgery, too, was performed in India when most of the world still accepted blindness as fate. Fractures were treated with splints. Wounds were sutured with natural fibers. Apply and plastic surgery was more than just a dream. If we had not rediscovered these texts, much of this knowledge might have been lost forever. Yet, for all its brilliance, apply. The story of Sushruta and his tools is also one of mystery. Why did so much of this advanced surgical practice fade away? Why did the world wait centuries before catching up? Apply. The invasions, the decline of empires, the fading of traditions, all chipped away at this golden age of medicine. And so the instruments that once saved countless lives became relics. Apply, hidden in manuscripts locked away behind the Great Wall of Time. Today, historians and doctors study the Sushruta Samhita with awe, recognizing that what was once dismissed as legend is, apply, in fact, evidence of genius. It is a reminder that ancient civilizations were not merely survivors of their age, but innovators far ahead of it. Their inventions, their practices, apply, and their wisdom still echo in the hospitals of today. And if this much knowledge has survived buried in fragile manuscripts, we can only wonder how much more lies forgotten. Apply, waiting to be rediscovered beyond the crumbling walls of history. The ancient city of Syracuse stood proudly along the Sicilian coast. Apply, a jewel of the Mediterranean and home to one of the greatest minds the world has ever known, Archimedes. Mathematician, inventor, dreamer, he was a man centuries ahead of his time. Apply. But what makes his story unforgettable is not only his brilliance in numbers and theory, apply, but the machines he created, machines so powerful and so mysterious that they blurred the line between science and legend. In an age when battles were fought with swords, arrows, apply, and catapults, Archimedes armed his city with inventions that seemed almost supernatural. The Romans, the unstoppable conquerors of the ancient world, learned this lesson the hard way. Apply. In 214 BCE, when their mighty fleet surrounded Syracuse, they expected a swift victory. After all, what chance did one city have against the power of Rome? But as their ships advanced, apply, they were met not only by the courage of Syracuse's defenders, but by Archimedes' terrifying machines. Accounts from historians describe weapons unlike anything seen before. Apply, great claws hidden along the harbor walls, capable of reaching out, grabbing Roman ships, and lifting them into the air before smashing them back into the waves. Imagine the panic. Apply, the disbelief of seasoned Roman sailors as the sea itself seemed to turn against them, ships splintering under the grip of a mechanical monster. Apply. Then came the most mysterious of all, the so-called death ray. Some say Archimedes arranged massive bronze mirrors along the shore, angling them to catch the blazing Sicilian sun. Apply, when focused on Roman ships, the concentrated beams of light set their wooden hulls ablaze. Whether this was historical truth or a legend born of fear, apply, the idea alone reveals the scope of his imagination. A man in the 3rd century BCE thinking of harnessing solar energy as a weapon. It seems impossible, and yet, apply, his reputation makes us wonder if it could be true. Archimedes did not stop with claws and mirrors. Apply. He designed catapults that could launch stones farther and with more accuracy than any enemy could match. He calculated angles and ranges. Apply, adjusting his machines with mathematical precision, making Syracuse's defenses nearly impenetrable. The Romans, so used to overwhelming their foes with sheer numbers, apply, found themselves baffled, losing ships and men to a mind that out them at every turn, and yet behind these inventions was not a man obsessed with war, apply, but a scholar whose true love was knowledge. Archimedes spent much of his life immersed in mathematics, geometry, and physics, discovering principles that still shape science today. Apply, the stories of his war machines remind us that genius often rises in times of crisis, that necessity can turn scholars into inventors, and inventors into legends. Apply, but they also leave us with haunting questions. How many of his inventions were lost with the fall of Syracuse? How much knowledge did Rome destroy when it finally captured the city? Apply. Because in the end, despite his brilliance, Archimedes could not save his home. Syracuse eventually fell, betrayed from within, and Archimedes himself was killed. Apply. Despite orders to spare his life. His machines, his manuscripts, his discoveries, most vanished into history, leaving behind only fragments of what he accomplished. Apply. We know enough to marvel, but not enough to replicate everything he built. His weapons became whispers, his drawings lost, his genius scattered like ashes in the wind. Still, apply. The legacy of Archimedes endures. The stories of his machines remind us that ancient minds were not bound by the limits we so often impose on them. They dreamed, they experimented. Apply. They created wonders that challenge our understanding even now. To imagine a man in antiquity building mechanical claws to lift ships or mirrors to harness the sun, apply, is to realize that the line between history and myth is thinner than we think. Behind the walls of time, in a city long reduced to ruins, Archimedes reached across the centuries. Apply, showing us that human genius has always been capable of the extraordinary. Deep within the jungles of Central America, apply. Long before skyscrapers pierced the sky or pipelines crisscrossed the earth, the Maya built cities that dazzled with complexity. Towering pyramids rose from dense forests. Apply. Grand plazas echoed with rituals, and beneath it all flowed something even more vital: water. The Maya understood, perhaps better than most ancient civilizations, apply, that water was not just survival, it was power, it was sacred, it was life itself. And to master it, they designed systems so ingenious that even today, apply, engineers marvel at their brilliance. Unlike civilizations blessed with mighty rivers like the Nile or the Tigris, the Maya often lived in regions where water was scarce. Apply, where rain fell heavily in one season but disappeared in another. The limestone ground beneath them swallowed rivers, leaving few surface streams to depend on. Apply. Yet instead of surrendering to nature, they learned to bend it. They carved vast reservoirs lined with stone, catching the rains of summer and preserving them for the dry months ahead. Apply. They engineered underground cisterns, known as choltons, shaped like bottles, narrowing at the top and widening below, capable of storing thousands of liters. These were not random pits, apply, but carefully designed vaults, sealed with plaster, channeling water through stone, carved conduits. The sophistication of these systems is breathtaking. At cities like Tikal and Calakmul, apply, massive reservoirs stretched like man-made lakes, complete with filtration systems, using layers of sand and zeolite minerals to purify drinking water. Apply. Think of that for a moment. While much of the ancient world still drank directly from rivers, the Maya were filtering their supply, guarding against contamination, apply, creating urban centers that could sustain tens of thousands of people in the middle of dense rainforest. They were, in essence, apply, building plumbing networks centuries before modern cities would think to do the same. And yet water to the Maya was more than utility, it was sacred. Cenotes, deep, apply, natural sinkholes were not only sources of life, but gateways to the underworld, places where rituals and offerings were made. Their reservoirs, too, apply, were often tied to spiritual meaning, blending the practical with the divine. Every drop of water was a gift, every channel a link between the heavens, the earth, and the gods. Apply. The walls of their cities did not just hold stone and mortar, they held the lifeblood of a civilization, carried and protected by human ingenuity. Apply. What makes this achievement even more astonishing is how seamlessly the Maya integrated technology with environment. Apply. They did not simply force nature into submission, they worked with it, adapting to the cycles of rain and drought, crafting systems that reflected harmony as much as control. Apply. Their waterworks remind us that progress does not always mean steel and electricity. Sometimes it means understanding the land so deeply that survival becomes art. Apply. But even the greatest systems can falter. Scholars believe that prolonged droughts, stretching for decades, may have tested the resilience of the Maya. Apply. The reservoirs that once sustained their mighty cities may have run dry, leading to famine, conflict, and collapse. Imagine walking through the ruins of Tikal today, its plazas silent, apply, its temples towering but empty, and beneath them the vast cisterns long drained. It is a haunting reminder that even brilliance cannot always conquer nature's fury. And yet, apply, their legacy endures. Modern engineers study Mayan reservoirs, learning lessons in sustainability and water conservation that resonate powerfully in our own time of climate change. Apply. Their methods prove that ancient people were not primitive but visionaries who looked to the future, ensuring survival through innovation. Apply. So when we gaze upon the crumbling pyramids of the Maya, let us not see ruins alone. Let us see the hidden rivers beneath their stones, the ingenuity etched into their walls. Apply. The wisdom carried in every drop they preserved. For the story of the Mayan water systems is not only about survival, it is about the eternal struggle of humanity to live, to thrive, apply, and to endure against the odds. And as we stand today, facing our own challenges with water and survival, the echoes of the Maya remind us of a timeless truth: civilizations may fall, apply, but their genius flows forever.